Leslie, you got some options.
I have a 350Z.
Hey everyone, I'm Sam, and today we are talking about what in the world fits on a Nissan 350Z. So the 350Z is kind of an amazing platform and it's getting seriously popular in almost every car scene, from shows to drifting to just as a cool daily driver. The VQ power plant is really good in stock form, but it does kind of have a polarizing exhaust note to say the least. But we ain't here to talk about power plants. We're here to talk about what sort of wheels and tire specs fit best on the Nissan 350Z. Luckily, we have this handy dandy gallery at fitmentindustries.com with a whole bunch of Z's in there so you can see the exact sort of fitment you're looking at. We also have a whole bunch of wheels, tires, and suspension options for sale at fitmentindustries.com, so once you know what fits, you can just browse our wares. Today we're going to look at 3 examples of 350Zs with 3 different fitment styles, since you can really do a lot with this chassis depending on your intended purpose or look that you're going for. The 350Z is thick, so you're going to quickly find out some big wheels fit under those big old arches. Okay, so to start off with, we are looking at a 350Z with a square setup. So this particular 350Z, one of my favorites in the gallery, really cool wrap on it. It's actually got a supercharger on it, but this guy is running some 18 by 10.5 plus 22 Anovia Elders. So like I said before, you can fit some pretty big wheels under the 350Z. And for tires, they're running some 275 30s, and it is lowered on some coilovers. So with this 350Z, there's no rubbing or scrubbing. There's a slight fender roll. That's just because of the ride height. So if you had a little higher, it wouldn't rub in the front and you would be good to go. So it's pretty much a completely flush fitment on here with the square setup. Okay, so the next car we're going to look at has a staggered setup. So the previous one was square. This is the first staggered one we're going to look at. So on this 2003 350Z, we are running some 18 by 9.5 plus 15 Enkei RPF1s up front, and then a little bit wider 18 by 10.5 plus 15 Enkei RPF1s in the rear. So the front tire size is a 245/40, and in the rear it's a 265/40. So a little bit more stretch in the rear on the tires, just kind of due to dealer's choice there. But this is lowered on coilovers as well. And on this car, there is no rubbing or scrubbing, and the fenders are rolled as well. There is a little bit more camber that the owner introduced into this car to help reduce any rubbing or scrubbing. So about negative 3.5 degrees of camber in the rear and negative 2.5 degrees in the front. Overall, this is a great looking setup with the 350Z with a staggered look. In the back, it just looks a little bit more meaty. On the front, it's absolutely flush right with that fender. Okay, so finally, we're gonna look at the most aggressive setup that we have. It's another staggered setup on this 350Z, and this one, we're running some big old 19 by 10 plus 25 wheels in the front, and 19 by 11 plus 18 in the rear. So this is a really aggressive setup. They are the Koenig countergram, which looks awesome on the 350Z, and this particular convertible, which is a little more rare for 350Zs, is on air. So this gives it an absolutely perfect fender to lip fitment. So on this particular 350Z, the owner did add some camber like we saw in the last one, so negative 3 in the front and negative 2.5 in the rear. He's running a 10mm front wheel spacer, which helps really pull that front fitment out to the fender. And there is no rubbing or scrubbing and no trimming needed with this particular car. And on air, when it's fully aired out, like I said, that fender to lip fitment is absolutely perfect. Don't think you could fit a $100 bill between that. So what fits? Honestly, you've got some options with the 350Z. You can go with the square setup if you want, going from an 18 by 9 all the way to an 18 by 10.5, with offsets going from a +0 to a +22. Personally, I think the 350Z lends itself really well to a staggered setup. You can go as wide as an 11-inch wide wheel in the back pretty easily with a low offset like a +18, which we saw in the last car. If you're okay with a little fender roll, the 18 by 9.5 plus 15 fronts combined with the 18 by 10.5 plus 15 rear is really good look and a popular setup from what we see in the gallery. If you lower the car, as you should, you'll see a little bit of negative camber, but it's nothing too drastic. So now you guys know what fits on a Nissan 350Z. Be sure to take a look at our gallery on fitmentindustries.com and let us know what you want to see next on what fits. Thanks guys, I'm Sam.